Pokémon! It's...
What's going on, my Latin ones? It's your boy MoashDmc, and we're back again. I know it's been a very long time, but your boy's been busy. He's been doing a couple things, but finally he's figured out everything. He's finished up everything. We got a new room, a new situation, a new layout. Things are a little bit different in the back, but they're gonna catch up very soon. Trust me. But today we're talking about chapter 1032, titled Odin's Beloved Sword, and right off the bat we get to see Yamato on the cover story, which I do enjoy because honestly, Yamato's done a lot in this arc so far, but Yamato's almost having a similar situation to the Brook situation in Thriller Bark, where Brook sort of just popped up, had a situation with the Straw Hats, joined the crew. And if Thriller Bark is mirroring Wano, we're having the same situation with Yamato, I don't mind it at all. But going right into the chapter, we get to see Marco and Izo, and the reason why I enjoy this so much, not only because we see Marco in his full Phoenix form, but we see Marco carrying Izo, and Izo's wary about what just happened from the Fire Demon, or hearing about the Fire Demon from the top. And the fact that Marco is flying, carrying Izo to the top where that Fire Demon came from, we get to see Marco possibly interact with the Scabbards again, mainly Kinemon and Kiku, the two people currently who are injured, who need to be healed. Marco the Phoenix, it just fits perfectly. Also, we already know Usopp is headed there to possibly save Kiku and Kinemon. And if Marco is there, it not only lends to the fact that it's going to happen, but also puts Usopp in a different situation where Usopp is going to interact with the Scabbard Izo, who could possibly teach him a thing or two about a thing or two, possibly shooting with armament hockey, who knows, and maybe even helping out Luffy because, you know. And the thing I like about this the most is that it's playing sort of like how Enies Lobby played out, and how each of the Straw Hats are having their different fights, and Usopp has its own job to do. And it could be a thing that Usopp does something, maybe he saves Robin, or maybe he aids Luffy in some way, shape, or form, and maybe he shoots something, maybe he makes a cushion for Onigashima to land. Who knows? But Usopp going to the top with Marco is going to play a factor in what's going to happen, as well as Izo. But another thing about that is that the journal, Odin's journal, guys, I'm going to harp on it until it becomes a plot point again, because so far I think it has been a plot point that people tend to miss. Odin's journal is in that room, and I do like the idea that Usopp possibly gets there first and he reads it, and or Usopp reads it while he's there, while Marco is possibly tending to Kiku and Kinemon. But also the fact that Izo's going, and remember, Kanjuro, even though he's a traitor, he is still he has a very close relationship with all the other Scabbards, and it could be a thing that they do save Kanjuro too. I don't like the idea because Kanjuro is a traitor, but you know, Oda doesn't like killing people off, and I think Kanjuro may play one more part in what's going to happen in the end of the final battle with Kaido. And if Marco does get there and he's able to save possibly Kiku and Kinemon, we may get to see the Scabbards have one last hurrah against Kaido, maybe one last attack, maybe in the midst of Luffy possibly regenerating his energy again. But I don't like the idea of Luffy losing again, or Luffy running out of haki again. But it could be a thing that the final blow on Kaido in his awakened form possibly is with all the Scabbards. I feel like they need one more shot at Kaido. I know Luffy's gonna take Kaido one-on-one, but at the same time, talking about awakenings, I feel like it's finally time to see Kaido's awakening. So far, we've seen Big Mom's technical awakening, we've seen Kid and Law's technical awakening, we've seen Sanji's technical awakening. Well, no, we saw Kid and Law's true awakening, we saw Big Mom's maybe first level awakening, and we've seen Sanji's true awakening as well. But speaking about Sanji, in this chapter, we get an emphasis on a couple things, but I will get to that later. But moving on, we get to see Apu and CP0. The thing I like about this the most is because we get to see Apu's true self. Apu is an opportunist. He saw the opportunity, he went for it. But Apu is basically like a caribou to me. He's a opportunity getter, but also an information store. Caribou has slowly been gaining information about different things about the One Piece verse altogether. But also Apu has been in the mix with Kaido, but Apu has also been a traitor amongst the pirates. Apu is also ready to switch sides with Kaido just to get the upper hand. So the thing is with Apu is that Apu is always ready to take that opportunity to the next level. And the fact that he already knew about S Drake, he already had information on Sword, it looks like. But also Apu has also been to the Sky Islands. Apu also has the numbers under him. Apu also knows about CP0. Apu also has pictures of CP0. Apu also has connection to Big News Morgan. Apu is a man you really gotta look out for, because Apu is not one to be taken lightly. Yes, Oda threw in the niche or the like little hint that how his powers work. He has to look at the person and see the person, and them to hear him for him to actually do damage. And the thing that it played out with me, no, what am I talking about? The thing that played out in this chapter is that Apu was blitzed by the Max Man or the head leader of the CP0 agents, but he got finger pistol in his neck, and he did emphasize, "I know armored hockey, bro. This is not going to be some light duty stuff." You know what I'm saying? And he tanked it and got back up, and now we're getting a 2v2 with X-Drake and CP0. And CP0 obviously knew about X-Drake being in Sword, and the fact that it emphasized that Sword is an antithesis or an opponent or an antagonist towards Sword is an antagonist towards CP0, the shield of the Celestial Dragons. It emphasizes more that they are someone to be wary of, and that Sword may not be tied directly to the Marines. But speaking about Sword, since we know where since we know that since we know that Sword, what am I talking about? Since we know that CP0, since we know wherever CP0 is, Sword is, and because of that, I do play to the theory that Law is possibly a member of Sword, but also another member of Sword will be showing up in Wano, and that is a person who was there in the beginning of the whole situation or the whole alliance formation. Now it's Aokiji, the blue pheasant. And if everyone knows the story about Momotaro possibly being the story that is played out in Wano, the Momonosuke or Momotaro going to take down the Oni, Kaido with the monkey, the dog, and the bird. You can say the monkey, the dog, and the bird could be Marco, Luffy, and Yamato, but you can also say that it could be possibly the three admirals with Aokiji, Kizaru, and Akainu. But it could be a thing that Aokiji, just the blue pheasant shows up. We could say Marco is a blue pheasant, but I don't like that idea, I like the true blue pheasant showing up. And it could be a thing that because CP0 right now is having a 2v2 with Apu and X-Drake, we could see Brook fight another strong opponent, and that actually is Aokiji. I do like the idea that Brook has to fight someone to protect Nico Robin, and I don't like the fact that right now CP0 is fighting X-Drake and Apu. They could easily beat Apu and X-Drake fairly quickly if we get to gauge their strength, but right now, I don't really know too much. But at the same time, there was 3 CP0 agents, and the fact that the one more is missing off panel, it could be a thing he's going for who's who, or it could be a thing he's hiding in the shadows waiting for an opportunity to take Nico Robin away. But we move a little bit further. Let's talk now about Yamato and Fuga. The fact that Yamato knew Fuga and that she didn't have time to play around because she has to get to the weapons vault because Kanzenbo is going down. No, Kanzenbo did hit the 2 CP0 engines, but they brushed it off fairly easily. But Fuga looking like not only a giant, not only an Oni, but also having almost a horse bottom, almost like a Minotaur. It reminds me of the fact that he could possibly have a smile devil fruit on top of that, or he ate a smile devil fruit to even look like that, and that's how most of them are made. But who knows? But moving a little bit further, let's talk about the bulk of this chapter. That is Zoro versus King. I love everything about this. The reason why is because Zoro is getting his ass kicked. It's not that people, when I say that, people tend to believe that I hate Zoro. No, I like to see the Straw Hats tested. I don't like things being so easy for the Straw Hats. I've enjoyed Sanji's internal struggles. I enjoy Luffy struggling to get stronger. But I mean, yes, that is an emphasis of a lot of Luffy's fights, but I do enjoy it because it adds a little bit of tension, maybe not a lot, but a little bit of tension in the story. But now it's Zoro. The thing is, we haven't seen Zoro struggle in the fight since Mr. 1, and we haven't seen Zoro almost get beaten down since Mihawk. But speaking about Mihawk, we're going to talk about his training a little bit later. But the emphasis about this chapter is Zoro realizing that King is not only a different race, but King is an opponent that he may not be able to beat. But emphasizing a couple lines, Zoro say that you use dinosaurs and you dragons tend to sap up a lot of energy. And the reason why I like that is because him talking about the dinosaurs again in the ancient zones and the Tobiropo. Remember, Sasuke mentioned that the Tobiropo is a bulk power of Kaido. Sasuke stated that the Tobiropo is a bulk power of the mightiest army. Kaido's words, the world's strongest military might. And the fact that the Tobiropo have been taken out so easily, I don't like that idea. I like the idea that them possibly being able to sap up a lot of damage and be able to come back. And I like the idea of them possibly having an awakening, because for them to be the Tobiropo, the highly toted branch power in the Beast Pirates army, and to be defeated so easily, for the story to progress, I like the idea, but also I don't like the idea because I feel like they should be a little bit stronger, and I feel like we may get to see like the second phase of possibly all the Tobiropo members, but not yet. Because remember, last time we saw the Tobiropo members all defeated, we only saw Black Maria, Who's Who, and Sasuke. Also in page 1 were both all paneled, and it could be a thing that Usopp may run into either the numbers, page 1, maybe Ulti. I like the idea that it's page 1 and not Ulti, because Ulti I mean, Ulti's my favorite, and Ulti's been taking a lot of damage. But we move. The emphasis about this is because I talked about this earlier. With the dragon line we mentioned, and Zoro mentioned that a dragon and dinosaur, it sort of plays more into the fact that Zoro is the white tiger in the story, and King is the dragon. Because you remember, he has fire, he has wings, flying, etc., etc. But also Sanji being the black tortoise, and also the Sanji being the black tortoise, and the snake in the situation would be Queen. This is going to be saved for another video, but basically talking about the mythological, the mythology that is deep, has deep ties in Wano, which will be coming out probably later this week. But I like the idea: Zoro's the white tiger, King is the dragon, Sanji's the black tortoise, and Queen is the snake. But moving a little bit further, this reminds me of Luffy's fight with Katakuri. Luffy having to figure out a little bit more about Katakuri and why he's not able to hit him in order to defeat him. Zoro having to figure out what race King is in order to defeat him. And the two difference between Katakuri and King is that Katakuri is a person who avoids taking damage entirely, whereas King is a person that saps up a lot of damage. And the reason why that plays so deep into this battle is because a couple lines. One, we know King is a Lunarian and he's able to use fire, but two, we know that King loves torture, and it could be a situation where King said that I'm above taking damage like a dragon and the dinosaur. In my specific case, I'm above that, and it could be a thing that's tied directly into him being a Lunarian. But also, this reminds me of another character in the show that we haven't seen so far, and that's Urouge. Remember, Urouge was a person that was taking a lot of damage and turning that damage into power. And it could be a thing that King has some type of similar ability, maybe because he likes torture. When he takes damage, he enjoys it and he becomes more powerful. And it could be a thing that maybe not Urouge may not have a Devil Fruit, and that may just be a specific power tied to a Birkins at a higher level. And King's able to do that because remember, King is from the top of the Grand Line. The Grand Line right there next to the Sky Islands. Remember, the high point of the West that Ganfall talked about could possibly be on top of the Red Line, and that's how they access Sky Islands. But besides that, the thing I like most about this battle and talking about King is because Zoro talks about his wings and his fire. And that just reminds me of one thing that has been tied to my childhood, especially since the new game just came out for Nintendo Switch. You guys go out and get it, Shining Pearl and Shining Diamond, is that Charizard in Pokemon Red and Blue, he had wings and he wasn't able to fly. Like, King has wings, but he hasn't really used them yet. And he also talked about the fire on his back that's always burning. He thought about it from his Devil Fruit, but it's actually not. Since Zoro doesn't know that he's Lunarian, and I don't know how he doesn't know that, because Queen mentioned that Sanji burst into flames like Lunarian, and King sort of like, and it just plays out that I don't think they know that they're like, the readers know, but I don't think Sanji and Zoro know that King's Lunarian, and I like that idea. So, but the fire always burning could be a thing where the bigger the fire, the stronger he currently is. But also, if the fire is able to be put out, like if the Charizard's tail is put out, then he dies. And it could be a thing that King is almost the same situation. And the fact that Zoro learned how to cut fire, I like that idea. But we move on into the Enma situation. We get to see someone who looks like Hiyori. Guys, the one thing I want to mention about Hiyori, or in this situation, Hiyori or Komurasaki, is that when we see Komurasaki or Hiyori playing the Shamisen, we always see them wearing a mask. And in this situation, she did not have one on. So it could be a couple things. One, it's not Hiyori. Two, Hiyori's waiting to play that specific song to put the mask on. Three, Hiyori's there with the Snake Slayer Heaven, the Amino Habakiri, to take down Orochi. Four, she's just setting it up so Orochi can see her face before she puts on the mask, before she actually takes out Orochi. I also like the idea that Hiyori possibly has bombs on herself, almost like how she had the blood sacks for when Dendro had to cut her down just in case anything happened. Speaking about Dendro, where you at, man? I like the idea that Hiyori's possibly there with the Amino Habakiri and the Nidai Kitetsu. I just think that Nidai Kitetsu needs to come back into the story, because I don't think that it would just come into the story and completely disappear. And speaking about that, I feel like other swords may come into the story. One, the sword that was in the Yamato's flashback that Ushimara picked up. Two, the Nidai Kitetsu. And three, possibly Ace's sword. Well, not Ace's sword, Roger's sword, Ace, that we don't know where it is, and it could be a thing that it is in Wano, but we'll say that for another video as well. But Hiyori possibly not being Hiyori, I like the idea, because remember, we did see the damage on Toki's thigh. It could be a thing that is Toki, because remember, Oda liked to emphasize scars a lot, and the fact that we get to see Toki's scar, I feel like they may play a picture or play a part moving forward. But going back to Zoro's situation, Enma reacts to Zoro and starts sapping out his haki. Remember, that is Enma's personality. It draws the haki right from the user. And one thing about haki is we know is that it's tied directly to the user's will. One thing about haki that we know is tied directly to the user's will, but also the user's spirit. And Zoro being a high-spirited person all the time, it could be a thing that since Zoro finally thought that he was going to lose for the first time in a long time, he actually had the thought in his head that I may lose. It could be a thing that in itself started to make Enma draw out the haki from Zoro, because it started to lose faith in Zoro, because remember, the swords have a will of their own, and if the swords have a will of their own, and they actually understand the will of the swordsman at times. And the thing about the breath of all things is that the breath of all things is access between the boundary between life and death, but the sword understands the loser's will. And the fact that Zoro currently is at the boundary right now with all the damage he accumulated, Enma understands his will and understands that until you draw out my true power, you're going to lose. And he's starting to Enma's forcibly drawing out the haki from Zoro, but also Enma's reacting to the shamisen possibly. Oop, I hit my thing. But the reason why I like this so much is because I talked about Sanji and Zoro possibly seeing the flashbacks from the time skip. And the one thing about Zoro's time skip that we haven't seen so far is maybe him training with Mihawk and him training with the baboons, but also the fact that Perona was there. And the emphasis about Perona being there is that Perona has the hollow fruit, basically hollowing out the will of the user. And it could be a thing that at one point Zoro was able to fight the baboons on par and it was easy for him. So the next best thing would be to hollow out his will and then try to fight them. With a lower will, try to fight the baboons. And it could be a thing that was Zoro's training, using Perona's hollow fruit to hollow out his will and actually have to forcibly force his haki to will himself through to win those fights. And it could be a thing that he got that scar because of that situation. He didn't really know what to do in that situation, and he sort of let his guard down and he was scarred. And that's how he lost his eye. But moving forward, I like the idea that Zoro gets to the point where he has to learn the breath of all things again and actually have to communicate with Enma the true will of the sword, and having Enma understand his will as well. And because that Enma saw that Zoro's will was starting to deteriorate, that's why Enma started to forcibly draw out the haki from Zoro, because Enma's like, yo, listen, man, I remember I was drawing out the haki of Odin. Odin's will, Odin's spirit, Odin's emphasis was, I want to take down Kaido. I want to win this war. And now you're saying they're going to lose his first commander? Nah, that's not happening, bro. I hear my daughter, or possibly my wife, over here playing the shamisen and saying like, yo, let's remember, I'll see you 20 years in the future. And that's why I like this idea too. Toki said Odin looked 20 years into the future, and that's why I like the idea that this possibly could be Toki, and that Toki's playing the shamisen, and Odin's will or Odin's spirit or some type of Odin's emphasis in the haki is tied into Enma as well, and it could be a thing that is reacting to that. But remember, it draws out the will, it draws out the haki of the user currently, and Zoro's will being tested right now. Enma's reacting to it as well, not only the shamisen. So I like the idea that Zoro's finally in a situation where Zoro needs to grow, but also the situation where we get to see a little bit more of Zoro's possible time skip training with Perona and Mihawk. But guys, it's the end of the video. Leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Actually, that's not, hold on. Guys, I haven't done it so long, I actually forgot how to end videos. Guys, please leave a comment down below and tell me what you guys think. And like I said, at the end of every single video, come back next time to remain enlightened. Leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell button to come back and remain enlightened. I did it again. I messed up again. All right, guys, hold on. Leave a comment down below and tell me what you guys think. And like I said, at the end of every single video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the bell button to come back next time and remain enlightened, y'all. Peace.